Hello, welcome to my video about Article 50. Article 50 seems to be on everyone's lips and is fast becoming a buzzword. Plucked from the obscure depths of EU law, it has dominated headlines and permeated household conversations. But do we actually know what it is, what it says, and what it means? Well, in this video, we will answer these questions and tell you everything you really need to know about Article 50. The first question we need to ask is, where does Article 50 even come from? It is found in the Treaty of the European Union. Since the original foundations of European cooperation and integration in the 1950s, there have been a number of treaties. Essentially, these treaties set out the EU objectives, the powers of EU institutions, the rules surrounding the four freedoms of the EU, so goods, services, capital and workers, and the relationship between the EU and its member states. The latest was the Treaty of Lisbon, which entered into force in December 2009 and introduced a provision about voluntary withdrawal. So what is Article 50 and what does it say? Article 50 lays down the procedure for a country that voluntarily wishes to leave the EU. In a nutshell, a member state may leave the EU in accordance with its own constitutional requirements and must notify the European Council of their intention to leave. The European Council consists of the heads of state or government of each country in the EU. The European Council will set up negotiation guidelines. The member states will then negotiate and conclude an agreement with the EU about its withdrawal and its future relationship with the bloc. This deal will need to be approved by 72% of EU member states, so 20 of the remaining 27 states, and ratified by the European Parliament. The EU treaties will no longer apply to the member states upon the entry into force of a withdrawal agreement, or 2 years after notifying the European Council, unless there is a unanimous agreement to extend the negotiating period. If there is no agreement after 2 years, and an extension has been denied, or the leaving EU state simply disagrees with the terms on the table, they can leave the EU without an agreement. If they wish to return, they will need to start the process from scratch, just as a candidate country would. Any opt-outs or concessions that have been previously negotiated would be forgotten. So what needs to be negotiated? A senior EU official said that the Article 50 process is like a divorce. So who gets the house, who gets the kids, and who gets the bank accounts? Like the Brangelina divorce, it is likely that it might get a bit messy in parts. Article 50 does not specify what the negotiations will cover. There is no indication of how broad or narrow they will be. Either way, some sort of deal or negotiation will need to occur on trade, free movement of workers, goods, services and capital, the key relationships with the EU, unspent funds allocated to that country, etc., etc. Has it ever been activated? Quite simply, no. After the result of the June 2016 referendum, the UK became the first member state to have ever triggered Article 50 and will have the difficult and arduous task of navigating its way through the withdrawal process. Already, it's hit a few bumps along the road. See our next video on Article 50 and the UK, and the legal challenges they are facing to kickstart the withdrawal process. Thanks for listening. Hope it's answered your questions about Article 50. See you soon.